Hi everyone, my name is Ella. I'm a 19-year-old woman of transgender experience, and in this video I'm going to be talking about something that I went through and a lot of transgender women also go through upon coming out, and that is the experience of being completely ignored and treated as secondary in this whole process. What I mean by that is, like, when you come out and when you tell everyone and it's like, oh, I've been suffering all these years and this is what I am and this is what I need, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about you. Everybody cares about everything else in the room except the person who is suffering. When I came out to my family members, when I came out to relatives, it was always, who's gonna marry you? What about your children in the future? What about how your parents are gonna feel? How is your sister gonna feel? How is this gonna make our family look? All those things are important and all those things are affected by it. But what about me? What about how I feel? What about what I need? What about what I've been through? What about how I'm hurting? How is that never a part of the conversation? The audacity that people have when you share such sensitive information with them and you come out to them about your suffering and your struggles and this anxiety and this depression and this lifelong battle that you've been fighting, and their response is basically, wow, so you're choosing not to suffer in silence anymore? Your family must be ashamed. What the fuck? In so many ways, it is hurtful. In every way, it's dehumanizing. It makes me feel invisible at times, like I'm not even there. It basically lays out my life in front of me as it is in service to others, in service to other people's feelings, in service to other people's reputations, in service to other people's beliefs and sentiments. My life is anything but my own. Everything I do affects everyone but me. That is so stupid. I'll tell you a little story. This is something that it pretty much haunts me at this time, but obviously at the time it felt worse, but now I'm kind of over it. But I remember we went to a doctor's consultation and we were discussing my options to be able to have a gender reassignment surgery or a sex change. I remember we had that whole consultation and I'm driving home with my parents, and it's a very quiet car ride home. Understandable, it's an awkward situation. Everyone is hurt in different ways. Everybody's feelings are valid. But I remember it was a very quiet car ride. And then my father spoke. And this is the first thing he said to me after this whole situation. And that is the only thing he cared about. He was like, well, what about your children? Are we not going to have grandchildren? Is this the end of our lineage? Is this the end of our bloodline? Like, what is this? And I get it. That is a very important aspect of life, and that is a really important decision, and we have to think about it. But the fact that that was the first concern after this entire discussion we had, not the fact that I was going to be sliced up and origamied and stitched and I was going to be all these medicines and how is this going to affect me and my mental health, but like my hypothetical children were a primary concern and not me in my physical being there. Everyone treats transitioning like this really evil, malicious choice, as if I'm doing this with the purpose of bringing shame, with the purpose of hurting feelings, with the purpose of destroying everyone and my life. And I get it. We live in a collectivistic culture. It's important to think of a million other things besides yourself. That is how our culture is, and that is how it's going to be. I understand that my relatives and my parents and like all these people were raised differently. It was a different time. It was a different set of values. Everything in life has a reason. Everything in life has an explanation, but everything in life isn't right. Just because I can come up with a reason for why these things were said and done to me doesn't make them valid in the slightest sense. Truly, genuinely, I get it. To parents of transgender children, and to my parents even, if they're watching, hi mommy, papa, I get it. You're heartbroken because when you start something in life, you envision it and you dream about it in its entirety. When you have a beautiful little baby boy, you imagine his whole life ahead of you. You know that he's going to grow up and he's going to study to be an engineer, he's going to study to be a doctor, and then he's going to bring home this beautiful, perfect wife, and then they're going to have a beautiful family, and you're going to have these set of grandchildren, and then, you know, it's heartbreaking. I get it. You're hurt. It's like grieving the loss of this life you envisioned for someone, and then suddenly that someone took a shit on your face. That's what it feels like to you. You feel hurt, you feel betrayed, but it's not intentional. I did not wake up one day and I chose to hurt everyone. I did not wake up one day and I chose to dishonor the values and the name of my family. I did not wake up one day and choose to destroy my life as many people think this is going to do. I woke up one day and I said, this is too difficult, too unfair, and too draining to live this way. The choice I made, the only choice I made, was to get treated. And I will not be shamed for getting the treatment that I needed. It is absolutely inhumane to vilify someone who, quite innocently, is choosing not to suffer. The only thing I'm getting out of this, the only thing I'm getting out of transitioning is mental, physical, emotional, social peace. It makes you reconsider your worth. Is like, is it worth being happy in life if this many people are pissed off? It's like you have to choose between your happiness versus the people you love, and that is such an unfair choice. And it is so sad that so many of us are put in this uncomfortable position to make that choice. It's very sad and it's heartbreaking that so many transgender people have to be put in this situation, and it's really, really hurtful. And it's equally hurtful and heartbreaking for their family. It's equally heartbreaking for their partners, their relatives. And I'm so sorry that all of you are affected by this. But I'm also so sorry, this isn't about you. This is about me. It affects you, sure, but it affects your feelings, not your life. This affects my life and it affects your feelings. There's a difference. And that's not to say that your feelings aren't valid. It's just to say that sometimes the universe doesn't revolve around your feelings. Deal with it.